Tell me, where did your inspiration come from doing Girls Rock School?
For the Girls Rock School? Well, it was Carol's idea originally. She emailed me because she knew that I'd sung in a band and I knew something about singing, and she knew that I had an idea about maybe putting together some sort of Girls Rock School, and she had a similar sort of idea. But it took us a while to get it together. It was almost a year before we got all the pieces in place.
It started because I was writing a zine called She's Pretty Good for a Girl, and I was interviewing quite a lot of bands, and one of the bands I interviewed, they were from Vermont I think, but it was an email interview, and they'd mentioned this thing called Girls Rock Camp in the US, and I didn't know about it, and I looked it up and got really excited about it. And then I was interviewing this band from the Borders called Spat, and we were all in the pub, so after the interview we all got a bit drunk, and then we're like, yeah, let's start up a Girls Rock Camp in Scotland. But then, you know that way when you decide to do something with people in the pub, and it's like, yeah, and we shook hands on it and everything, and then it didn't happen. But then I still had the idea in my head, and I knew Fiona from Ladyfest Edinburgh, so I think at some point I said to Fiona, what do you think about this idea? And she was like, yeah, let's do that. So we actually did it.
Caro kicked things off based on the American Girls Rock School camps, or Girls Rock camps that were started up sort of as part of the Riot Grrrl original in Portland, and so it started up. There was a one-day workshop as part of a festival, and I basically tagged along with Fiona, because Fiona was doing the vocals, and I was just playing the guitar, and we were doing I Love Rock and Roll, and we thought it would be better with an actual live guitar, so I was just doing that. So that's how I got involved in the first place.
Empowering. It's like, I don't know, I feel like after this like 6-week workshop, I don't know, like my confidence, has increased, and now I don't mind like singing with the microphone. Like at the beginning that seemed like really scary and things, and now it's like, alright.
Yeah, I think because it's all girls together, that kind of a sense of like, I don't
belonging.
know. Yeah, belonging, being part of, and then, having that identification. I think it's really a supportive group, and it really motivates us and encourages us to do more and kind of be more and connect with each other in a musical way. It's good fun.
No, it's been really good fun. As I say, when I went in for it, I thought it was going to be like a proper structured lesson plan type scenario, and it's been a lot less formal than that, which has been lovely, because I think then it feels more like fun and it's much more support. I think it's easier to let yourself go in that informal atmosphere than maybe it might have been if it had been more structured.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's definitely been more sort of creative and energetic. I think from the group, and like it was good fun writing that song, because everybody's ideas just came together.
It sounded like
good. I had no idea how it was going to be, but I'm really glad they did it like this, because I think it's been really well. It works really well, because we're all really quite different, I think, personalities as a group, but it's been good.
That was really important. I wanted it to be a supportive learning environment so they would feel comfortable with each other. And in order to do that, it sounds strange, people say, oh, why do you spend so much time doing warm-up exercises and stuff? And I said, well, it wasn't so much about the warm-up, although that's an important part, the other part of it is we all have to make ourselves look ridiculous in front of each other, feel comfortable with each other. And that happened really quickly because it was a small group and they really bonded quite quickly. You know, once you've sung Baba Black Sheep with your tongue hanging out in front of people, it doesn't really matter what you do from then on, it's not going to be embarrassing. You've kind of got past that stage. So.
So I guess my role models are more people like PJ Harvey, because she's the only person that's won the Mercury Music Prize twice, and she's a woman, so I think that's great. And Patti Smith.
Yeah. I've always liked, I mean, music-wise, I think one of our first times that, or our second week or something that we're here, and they sort of said, you know, what sort of female artists in rock have influenced you. I mean, I used to be a complete Stevie Nicks fan, and I just loved what she sang, and I loved the way she dressed, and I emulated her and everything. Like I loved her so much, I wanted to be her. So I liked her. I liked Patti Smith. I liked Pat Benatar. They're all like in their 60s and 70s now, but they're still rocking.
I think the biggest influence on me has been Patti Smith, without a doubt. In fact, I've got a ticket to go and see her in June, and she's going to be doing the Horses album. It's going to be great. But yeah, I got given her album Horses when I was 17, and it made such an impact on me. Just for a woman to be so uninhibited and wild about her performance, it was quite astonishing. It was quite groundbreaking, and she just didn't care, you know. And I remember thinking, oh, that just blew me away, because I've been so used to sort of homogenised images of women in pop, as it were, and they're all kind of cleaned up for the market. And she wasn't. She just did what she wanted. She took men on at their own game. It was good.
Did you ever, when you were making music, ever feel like you were intimidated by what, you know, was a very male-dominated scene?
Well, when I was in the band originally, that was 88 to 93, it was a very male-dominated scene, certainly in Edinburgh. There was maybe only 2 or 3 bands that had women in them, and they were always the front person, nobody playing instruments. So at the time, I think it was difficult to be a woman in a band, because you were always the only woman, say at a sound check. You're always the only woman on the van, and you're always the only woman sometimes even at a gig. So I felt, in a way, I had to keep pushing it, because I thought there must be more people out there that want to be creative, and more women who want to be creative like this. And so where are they, you know? And I'm really glad that more women are coming forward now, because it's about time.
There was, I mean, because I'm a bit older, so there was bands maybe in the more sort of punk and rock. There were some female bands. So they were, and that was, I don't know, that's maybe a certain personality, a woman or something that kind of went.
Yeah, like I'm glad those punk bands existed,
dominated
but
by the guys.
I think it's great to have mainstream good female artists as well, just because it'll make most girls think, oh, I could do that. Because sometimes if it's too fringe, then it stays fringe.
Yeah.
It does seem to be a lot of the time when you go to see bands, there won't be any women on stage, or there'll be one or something like that. I mean, I think that does hold true over quite a lot of genres as well, and it seems to come. Yeah, it seems to come in waves. In a way, I mean, when I was in a band in the mid 90s, and there were quite a lot of all female bands and things going on at the time, but then that seems to have sort of ebbed away a bit or something. But and I'm talking very much at the sort of pub, local club level, and and it does seem a shame that there should be more. I think there should be more women.
I mean, I've had some totally off the scale experiences that you probably wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Right.
But this was because I was playing in a rock covers band around Aberdeenshire. So all these little pubs in Aberdeenshire, you can imagine, you know, like all these old man pubs. We're playing like the 70s standards, like Free, All Right Now, and Deep Purple, and because that's what you had to do, make money.
Yeah.
And I was making part of my income from that. And I've had guys like decide that they didn't like what I was wearing on stage, because I won't wear a skirt, I won't wear high heels. Fuck that. And this guy grabbed me and got me in a headlock because he didn't like the fact that I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And I had to wriggle out of it, and then I said to my band, I was like, look, I'm not playing this venue again because the guy just attacked me. And they were like, oh, but we make so much money. We make 250 quid playing here. And they just, you know, so... And they were all mostly guys. So
Yeah.
they just don't really understand. I think most men don't really understand what it's like to be a woman, full stop, let alone a woman trying to be in the music industry.
Yeah.
And I just find that, once I was a volunteer sound engineer at the Forest Cafe, because for a while you could volunteer,
Yeah.
and I've never experienced so much sexism in my entire life, apart from when I was in that rock covers band. Because you'd be behind the sound desk, you'd be footing about with cables and setting up mics, obviously being a sound engineer, and the bands would walk in and go, where's the sound engineer? And I had one where I was like, right, so what kind of inputs do you need, blah, 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 and we're like, oh, this, and this. And then a bit later on they were like, so what time does the sound engineer get here?
Oh God.
And there's a lot of that, and that's the reason I set up that zine, because I just got really interested in it, like how much sexism actually happens and what can we do about this. And I interviewed so many people and they were all telling me stuff like, well, you know, I walk into the venue with my guitar and then the sound engineer thinks I'm carrying the guitar from my boyfriend. So it's all this kind of stuff, and it actually happens to women every day, and it's not just about music, it's about everything.
Well, there were a couple of gigs that were quite difficult for me. Once we supported the Mac lads, do you know who they are? Well, they were billed as the most misogynist, homophobic, racist band in Northern England or something. And they came to Edinburgh, I think it was the early 90s, and they came to the venue and they were looking for a support band and nobody would support them because they were just so awful. But unfortunately for me, this was before the internet, and it was quite hard to find out things about this band, and I'd never heard anything about them. I knew, you know, they were a bit, I thought they just played some rude songs or something. I didn't know about all the racism and the sexism and all the rest of it, and there was no way of finding out really. And then so we agreed to do the gig because we were really short of money, and then I turned up at the venue and I was the only woman there, and the place was like 500 men waiting to see this racist, sexist, homophobic band, and then they got our support band with a woman at the front. So anyway, I just said that when I got in there, and I said, actually, the only person I know in here is that person from my work who's in the BNP. That's not a good sign. And they were going, yeah, I think it's going to be quite tough tonight. And I said, actually, I think we should do a really short set. Have we been paid yet? So that's what we did, just did a really short set. But I got up there and I was just, you know, because they just let it rip. Get your tits out, and they were throwing things and they spat on me. Yeah, it was difficult.
You know, people wouldn't take you very seriously, and that quite often, I mean, sound engineers and people like that. I mean, I remember one time, sort of playing through a song for the sound engineers, and then afterwards they just sort of looked at us like, and it was like, you know, was that okay? Could you hear us? Whatever. And it's just, I mean, maybe they thought we were terrible, but I mean, it was still like, you know, it seemed a bit off. and I don't think they would have done that if we'd been below. So
here we go. Who wants to go up first?
Yeah, I'll go for a second.
Okay. Right, so we're looking for eyeballing, attitude. I don't know how I'm gonna. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, ready? Yes. I wish I had them up on the board, but it's a stupid thing that we'll sort it.
I knew he must have been about 33. So it's all been my favorite song. I said it wouldn't be long till it's me, yeah, me. And I said it would be long until it's me, yeah, me. Singing I love rock and roll. So put another time in the jukebox, baby.
Has it gotten any better?
Well, I don't know because I haven't sung in a band for a while. So, but I'd like to think so because there's lots of women sound engineers now, and yeah, I would like to. I think that it has changed. It must have moved on, surely.
With Girls Rock School, what do you hope for it to develop into?
I don't think we have long-term plans, but our plans for the autumn term are that we want to have sound engineering workshops, music technology workshops, DJing workshops, songwriting workshops, and just what we're doing anyway with the vocals, guitar, drums. And we want to set up showcase gigs. So it'll be like we'll have a headline band, and then we'll have bands that have been formed by the participants. And they, it doesn't have to be that they've wrote all their own songs and it's a fully formed band, but even if they're just jamming with each other, playing some cover songs, it's getting them on stage. All their friends and family can come, so there'll be like so much support and enthusiasm. Because the idea behind the whole thing is more for us is to just give people confidence. It's not like we're going to teach you really complicated scales and all this technical stuff and get you up to grade 8 or whatever. It's not. We're just really not focusing on that. It's more, how can you get someone that's never even thought about playing the drums before to actually be playing the drums in a band? And we don't care about technical ability because, like I was saying, we've got a discount with that professional drum tutor. So if people want to go and get professional lessons, we can signpost to people that we trust that are going to give them a discount. So I see it as like we're not really getting people up to a technical level, we're just building their confidence. So in that way we're actually almost like creating new drummers, new guitarists, new vocalists.
Are you really happy with what you've done with the Girls Rock School?
It's kind of been way more amazing than I expected because, first of all, we set up a launch gig as a promotion thing, thinking, right, this is how we'll get the workshops filled up, we'll have this launch gig, we'll promote it that way. Before the gig, it was completely oversubscribed. So, I was working quite a lot, just managing the bookings, because so many people were contacting me every day, 5 a day.
Wow.
And I'm having to do all this stuff. And then, so we ended up with 10 people in each workshop and then about 5 people on a waiting list.
Wow.
So, and that was before we even had the launch gig. And then people were coming up to us at the launch gig going, oh, can I sign up? And we had to go, you can sign up for the autumn term.
And if they did something in the future and in the same vein, would you join in again?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would join in, yeah.
Yeah.
And quite a few people, more my daughter's friends than my own personal friends, have sort of been really quite impressed at what I've been doing it. And they're sort of going, oh, we want to come to the next one. So, yeah.